Okay, and just to clarify, you did say that Amir Khan, win or lose, he's still the mandatory at welter for Danny Garcia?
Win or lose, he's a mandatory for Danny Garcia. That was a pre-agreement, and we're going to honor it.
Awesome. And what's the timeline of after this fight to make that fight with Garcia?
Let's wait. Let's just see what happens.
Okay.
There's some variables, so let's wait to see what happens tomorrow night.
Okay, but he does hold his position,
Absolutely.
which is awesome. Thank you, sir.
What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, UK superstar Amir Khan, he did a recent interview on BBC. Shout out to BBC. And he was talking about wanting to fight Danny Garcia, and I'll get to that in a second. But before I get into that, I want to take a trip down memory lane. And sometimes as a boxing reporter and analyst, I feel like Paulie Malignaggi. What I mean by that is you look at Paulie, sometimes he doesn't care. He speaks his mind, and he's uncut, and he speaks his opinion, right or wrong. That's exactly what I do. And with that, some people aren't going to like what you have to say. Some people love it, and that just comes with the territory. But the funny thing is, a lot of times when a lot of things that Paulie Malignaggi says that's perceived as radical or gets a lot of hate, a lot of it turns out to be true. Like he said, Canelo will knock out Amir Khan. He said that to me on camera, and a lot of people in the comment section were like, oh, Paulie doesn't know what he's talking about. He said that Mayweather would beat Pacquiao and it would be fairly easy. He got a lot of flack for that, and that's pretty much what happened. Pacquiao only landed 71 punches in the quote-unquote fight of the year, and that's kind of how I feel. So I'm going to take you guys down memory lane and let you know. And that's what I do with new media. I don't just tell you a bunch of arbitrary things. I show you. So I made this video 4 months ago. It has 67,000 plus views. 7 reasons Canelo versus Khan should not happen next. Boxing Ego. I don't know how much more. It's an 18-minute video. I don't know how much more complete and like to the point I could be when it comes to it. Now I'm gonna fast forward to one of the points that I was saying. A fight where a lot of the casual fans, they're gonna see 2 big names and they're gonna be like, oh, this is great for boxing. And to me, it doesn't really make that much sense. So again, yeah, you got 2 big names in there, so people are gonna watch, but I think a lot of people are gonna watch for the real reason. I don't know many people who are actually picking Khan to beat Canelo and intelligently explaining why they believe he will defeat him. So again, this is my personal opinion. It's in no particular order. It just doesn't make as much sense for me. So let's get started. Number 1, Garcia Guerrero. What I mean by that is Amir Khan has faced Danny Garcia in the past, and he was doing good for himself the first 2 rounds. He was clipped in the 3rd round, never fully recovered, and he got stopped in the 4th round. Now, the WBC just named Khan, who has a silver belt with them, they named him the mandatory for Danny Garcia, and Danny Garcia was to fight Amir Khan by June, and that was per the WBC. So basically, Amir Khan was in a position where he could have avenged his loss and went in against Danny Garcia, who has jumped up in weight just like Amir Khan. They both fought at 140, but Amir Khan made the plunge to 147 before Danny Garcia, and Amir Khan has, I believe, 1 more fight at the full 147 pounds. Danny Garcia moved up, stopped Paulie Malignaggi, and recently he beat Robert Guerrero. Now, this is a good fight. A lot has changed since they first met. Amir Khan switched from Freddie Roach. Now he's with Virgil Hunter. Danny Garcia, he had 2 performances where he got outboxed and didn't look too great. And even though they gave him the win, and that was against Lamont Peterson and also against Mauricio Herrera, who controlled him with the jab. So it'd be an interesting fight. Khan with the new trainer, Virgil Hunter. Khan's a good boxer. So it'd be interesting to see in a new division where both guys were and who would win in a rematch. Would Khan have learned from his mistakes of being maybe too aggressive in the first fight? And where's Danny Garcia at welterweight? That would probably, if they were to fight each other, that would be the best welterweight names with momentum that they've faced since they moved up to welterweight. So by Khan fighting Canelo, it kind of takes him out of the equation. Now Danny Garcia has a reason to not fight him. I don't know how long they're going to keep Amir Khan as a voluntary WBC status, since he's now going on to pursue a different bout with Canelo Alvarez. Number 2. So you guys heard it. 7 reasons why Canelo Khan shouldn't have happened, and it was pretty much what I predicted. Easy fight for me to predict. And I published this February 3rd. As you guys know, the Canelo Khan fight happened, I believe, May 7th. So well before the fight was actually made. Now, there's a lot of people who put whatever comments, and they said, this is a good fight, stop hating. 35 people, Igloo 2, 35 people said this is a good fight, stop hating. And was it a good fight to you guys? Was it anything shocking in the Canelo Khan fight? And that's my whole point. So just back to the whole Paulie Malignaggi thing. When people hear something that they don't like, I told people that Khan couldn't beat Canelo. That was just my honest opinion. I didn't see it happen. I made the 7 reasons video, and I was all of a sudden the bad guy. It's not that I hate Khan. It's not that I hate Canelo. That's honestly what I thought. And it turned out to be actually true. And the very first reason with Amir Khan and Danny Garcia, that was the very first reason that I cited. Now, you guys seen the clip at the beginning. I did talk to Suleiman, who's the president of the WBC. Great guy. He's very friendly. You guys seen the clip at the beginning. So at the point of making this video, I didn't know if they were going to hold Khan's spot for the mandatory for Danny Garcia's belt, but they said they are, because he was going up to a new division to face Canelo, so he wasn't going to lose his spot. But let me first talk about what Amir Khan said on that BBC interview, and I'm going to break it down further. So the problem that I had, Amir Khan said in the BBC interview that he's taking some time off with his family, relaxing, and he plans to later in the year regroup and chase a Danny Garcia rematch. Now, there's nothing wrong with the Danny Garcia and Amir Khan fight. However, he just got brutally knocked out by Amir Khan, or by Canelo Alvarez. So that's the biggest problem. And I told you guys in the 7 reasons that the biggest thing, the problem I had with the Canelo Khan fight is I think he was biting off more than he could chew, and it just kind of takes him out of the equation. And I even said in that video, if Khan loses bad, then who knows? Now, there's a great interview with Conor McGregor, even though he's with the MMA and not boxing, but he's in like the locker room, he's training, and he's talking about, he was talking about the Jose Aldo knockout. And he says when a fighter gets knocked out brutally, and he's talking about his 13-second knockout of Jose Aldo, he says when a fighter gets knocked out like that, they need to take at least a year off. That was what Conor McGregor said. And that's absolutely right from my viewpoint too. You need to take some time, 8 months to a year. You need to take that off. Because if you looked at the Canelo fight, yeah, Amir Khan was winning, in my opinion. But the end result was he was laying on the canvas, brutally knocked out. So you have to regroup, not just physically, but also mentally from that. Some people make these comparisons like, oh, Sergio Martinez, he got knocked out by Margarito early in his career. Keyword early. That was earlier than he was younger. He started boxing. Well, he might have been around Khan's age. I'm not sure, because I know he started boxing at like 21. But if I had to take a guess, I would probably say Sergio Martinez was maybe a few years younger than Amir Khan currently. Plus, Amir Khan's been knocked out before. Sergio lost to Margarito, who arguably may have been cheating at that time. We don't really know with the plaster situation. And he regrouped because he started boxing late. Khan's been knocked out multiple times, things like that. You have to keep those things in mind. You know what I mean? You look at Pacquiao. Pacquiao was young when he got knocked out by Rustico, Torrecampo, and guys like that. So he was able to regroup. Plus, I think Pacquiao has a more durable chin in general. So when he started moving up and fighting other guys, that wasn't one of his main vulnerabilities. He kind of got caught. One was a body shot, and body shot can get anyone. And then the other, he got knocked out with a headshot. But with Amir Khan, he's been knocked out with headshots multiple times. You know what I mean? So to me, the Danny Garcia fight, I think he shouldn't have moved up and fought Canelo. And I told you guys that before, because now he can make the fight. He's still a name in the sport and things like that. But he got destroyed in the 6th round versus Canelo. And I told you guys in that 7 reasons video, to me, that kind of takes away some of the luster. Now Khan's in a very precarious position as far as I'm concerned. And I know people in Khan's camp, and I'm being so sincere with this. And it's because if he were to chase Danny Garcia, that's a very high risk. And the reason I say high risk, not that he can't beat Danny Garcia, because he looked damn great when he was fighting him in the first 2 rounds. However, the end result, Danny Garcia caught him, clipped him, and was able to knock him out and knock him down multiple times. So now, coming off of a brutal sleeping knockout by Canelo, you drop back down to weight, which already is something that your body has to acclimate to. So I wouldn't advise that as a first fight for a guy like Amir Khan, because this is another guy who stopped you. He didn't stop you. He was on his feet, or whatever people were going to say. Oh, Kenny Bayless. I don't think it was a premature stoppage, so that needs to be doesn't need to be said. But it was a TKO stoppage and not a knockout. So it's not about that he can't necessarily beat Danny Garcia, because he was looking good against Danny Garcia. But had he not fought Canelo and got knocked out, then that fight would have made more sense, because he would have mentally been going into it probably stronger, because he beat Collazo, he beat Devin Alexander, and he beat Chris Algieri. So if he were to go into Danny Garcia, since he was the mandatory and not fought Khan, then that's at least someone in your division who recently moved up to welterweight. Recently. Unlike moving all the way up to 55, no rehydration clause, and things of that sort to fight Canelo. You know what I mean? It's just a completely different fight. To me, Danny Garcia is a good fighter, slow hands. Canelo has slow feet, but he has fast hands. Plus, he had the weight advantage. Plus, he had the crowd advantage. I was at the weigh-in, and the cheers were mostly for Canelo. Against Danny Garcia, I think all those advantages, because they're closer to the same size, meaning Danny Garcia recently moved up to welterweight. He only has 2 fights under his belt. Khan has 3 fights at welterweight, and now he has one at 155. So to me, that was more of an even match. But now, after he got knocked out, I don't know what the situation is, because some fighters don't bounce back from that. So I think the fact that he dared to be great, that's cool and all, but it just, to me, it wasn't smart, because now he's going into the Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia already made a statement after the Canelo knockout saying something to the effect of, Khan will be foolish to go after me. Danny Garcia is still undefeated. He knocked out Paulie Malignaggi. He was roughing up Robert Guerrero. I thought he looked better. If you look at Garcia's, both of his welterweight performances, he looked better. He looked better versus Guerrero. So he has the momentum. Again, Khan's tough. I think he's pretty mentally strong, but it's just a brutal knockout. And that's the type of fight where you got to take some time off after getting brutally knocked out like that. It's just, especially at a higher weight, and then you have to drop back down. I really think Khan should take a tune-up fight. I know he's the mandatory, but I think the Canelo fight should have never happened. Now that it has happened, I wouldn't advise him to jump right back into it, because that's almost a career suicide, because this is a guy that stopped you. So it's clearly an option that he may be able to stop you again. Maybe Khan's improved, maybe he wins the fight, I don't know, but it's clearly an option, because he has a victory over you. He's still undefeated, and Danny Garcia is going in with all the mental confidence, knowing that even, you could say, gift decisions or this and that, he's still undefeated, he still has momentum. He looked good in the Guerrero fight, versus we all seen what happened to Khan versus Canelo. So it's just a kind of a dangerous fight for Khan. I mean, if he wins it and beats Danny Garcia, he gets a belt and it puts him right back in the win column, puts him right back in the mix. However, if he were to lose, especially by stoppage, then it is really not, where does Khan go from there? So I would advise a tune-up. Just like when Danny Garcia only TKO'd you, you took a tune-up and you fought Carlos Molina, pulled him up from 35 to 140, and he doesn't have much power. So the fact that Canelo knocked you out worse than Danny Garcia at a higher weight, I wouldn't chase another guy in the lower division just underneath that's also has power and has knocked you out. It just, to me, that doesn't really make sense. And it's like, this is what happens with a lot of fighters. The daring to be great is cool, but you got to be sensible. You know what I mean? And I think his team should have advised away from the Canelo fight and then just went straight into a Danny Garcia or a Kell Brook fight, because at least those guys are more around your size and at least in your division. That's just kind of what I seen. You guys let me know. Amir Khan versus Danny Garcia. It could be a good fight. It's just a very dangerous fight. Me personally, Lamont Peterson's been pretty MIA. I think he wants to move up to welterweight from what I heard. They were actually at one point, I know some sources, they were talking about Kell Brook versus Lamont Peterson. They were in pretty deep negotiations to make that fight. And then it turned out to be Jesse Vargas that got the opportunity. But that is a rematch that I think Khan should go, because Lamont Peterson, good fighter, but he's not necessarily known as like a knockout artist, or like he's not known for his power per se. And then the first Khan Peterson fight, depending on who is scoring it, and then the 2-point deduction, A lot of people thought Khan won. Some people thought Peterson won. On paper, Peterson won. You know what I mean? And he doesn't have to worry necessarily about getting knocked out as much as a known puncher like a Danny Garcia, who actually stopped you. He went the distance with Peterson. Garcia stopped you. So I understand it's your mandatory position, but I think personally, that's just my honest 2 cents, I think Khan should ease his way back into the division, because it's just not a good look if you were to get 2 stoppages in a row. And that's kind of what happens with some of the fighters who are like, oh, I'm daring to be great, I'm daring to be great, I'm daring to take a risk. Taking a risk is great, but you have to be reasonable with your career. This is a brutal sport. You look at guys like Mike Alvarado, Brandon Rios. Look at Alvarado. He was in a fight with Bradis Prescott. It looked like his lip was about to fall off because it got cut. He almost got stopped in that fight. Turned that fight around and fought and knocked out Bradis Prescott or whatever, and remained undefeated. Then immediately had a war with Brandon Rios and got knocked out. Then he rematched Brandon Rios. Then he fought Ruslan Provodnikov. Then he fought Rios again and got knocked out by Ruslan. And now you look at Alvarado and he's fighting guys that we don't really even know. And this is a guy who not too long ago was undefeated and considered one of the best at 140. So I know Khan's a silver medalist, and I'm not saying his temperament, because he never quit in a fight like Alvarado did multiple times. I'm just saying, the point being is, you take tough fight after tough fight without giving your body a chance to rest. Sometimes it can catch up, especially if you're getting stopped in any of those fights. Let me know what you guys think. Danny Garcia versus Amir Khan. Should Khan take that fight next? Should he have an easier, like more of a tune-up style fight? Possibly a guy like Lamont Peterson, and that's not necessarily an easy fight either, but I think it's a little bit safer, but it could also be a good fight. So that's just my 2 cents. I understand wanting a championship, but that was a brutal knockout, to be honest. When I looked at the Canelo Khan, I was actually with Dante's Boxing Nation, and we were just like, whoa, wow. Like, you know what I mean? It was like the type of knockout where you're concerned with the fighter's health and safety. Like, it looked like he was dead almost. And I'm not even being facetious or funny. I'm being real. So you have to worry. That's why Canelo got on his knees, like, damn, to see if he's cool, because he was out. So just kind of a bad look that he jumped up like that and bit off more. Now Danny Garcia becomes real dangerous, because like I said, it's not saying that he can't defeat him, but it's just a dangerous fight, and I kind of explained it in the video. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like the video. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.